This is Paul McGann, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 112 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. In a land of good guys, sometimes it is oh so good to be bad. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week. We'll go to the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bellevue. This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City. This is Holly from Wisconsin. This is Mitch in Kitchener, Ontario.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello everyone.
Hello. Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my.
Hopefully there'll be more treats than trips.
Really?
Yes. Skype, I'm looking at you.
We'll just blame it all on Skype.
I have some Reese's peanut butter cups if need be for sacrifice, but let's hope it doesn't get to that point. I kind of want to keep them.
Yeah, really. Oh. Alrighty then. Well, so got a lot to talk about, actually, this week. So I thought it was going to be like, there's no news, and then I looked and like, oh, actually, there is news.
Yeah, there's quite a bit going on, and I guess I'll start off since this one's happening in my neck of the woods.
Yep.
Previously, we reported that there would not be FanX, Salt Lake Comic-Con FanX in 2017. Well, they made a big announcement on Thursday. They sent it out in the newsletter, so the newsletter subscribers first to see it. There will indeed be FanX, because a weekend had opened up at the Salt Palace Convention Center here in Salt Lake. So they are going to do FanX over St. Patrick's Day weekend, is what they said. So there had been some speculation there would be FanX after this most recent Comic-Con ended, because somebody checked somebody, I'm sure, checked the Salt Palace schedule, because they posted on their website, like, so when people want to schedule the building, mm-hmm, or want to try for it, they can see what weekends are available and things, and someone had put in a weekend like FanX, and they're like, but we thought we weren't going to be doing it, so and the powers that be hadn't said anything. Everyone was just like, oh, maybe that was just a placeholder or something, I don't know. And then we just kind of went on our way, and then they kept teasing this big announcement, and then they announced it on Thursday. So to quote my husband, when I told him this, he said, "My poor wallet." So yeah, I think I have mixed feelings about this, mostly because I had resigned myself to only having one Comic-Con a year, and I was like, well, that's probably a good thing, because then I won't spend so much money, and I can have more time to work on cosplay or, whatever. But it's also kind of exciting, because at the same time, one of the con organizers, Brian Brandenburg, is currently at Alamo City Comic-Con and taking pictures with David Tennant, among others. But David Tennant's kind of the big one we all want to get here, and so here's hoping that he's making that work with David Tennant and his agents and all the other things that go into that. So watch this space. So that was kind of a big deal. So we'll be getting guest announcements here pretty soon. Well, probably tickets go on sale, then they'll start announcing guests, or maybe at the same time. I don't know. So yeah, FanX is happening. Yeah. We'll see who they get and where all this goes.
Yeah. It just so happens that's the exact same weekend as Toronto Comic-Con. Salt Lake and Toronto seem to run concurrently. So.
Yeah, it's like what? How do we get all this scheduling the same time as the Canadian cons do?
Yeah, well, and Toronto's a big con too, so y'all may be fighting over guests.
That's true. Well, for Comic-Con this most recent one, we had Salt Lake Comic-Con, Dragon Con, and Fan Expo going on. Mm-hmm. Fan Expo Canada at the same time. So I was like, we were lucky we got as big.
They invented airplanes, so you know.
Yep. And maybe it speaks to how well run Salt Lake Comic Con is, that they did get those big names, even though those other huge cons were going on at the same time.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe just the airline, the flights worked out that way.
that too. That's very, very helpful.
It's like, well, we can get you a flight that won't, make you have to be up for 3 days straight if you go to Salt Lake, or you may have to.
The other helpful thing too is Salt Lake starts on the Thursday.
Yeah.
And a lot of other cons. I mean, not all of them, but most of them start like Friday and go till Sunday. We do Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
So that probably helps. It helps kind of clear things up a little bit.
Yep.
Well, Fan Expo's Thursday through Sunday. So.
Yeah. Then you have the extra day too. So like they can.
Well, like with Vince Mignogna was at.
Yeah, he was there
for yours, for like the 3 days of yours, and then came.
He was there. Yeah, he was there Thursday and Friday, and then like right after the panel on Friday night with Star Trek Continues, he was like running out the door for his flight to Fan Expo. So it was pretty. Same thing with Mark Hamill. He was there the Thursday, and then he flew out for the other one for yours. So yeah, it all works out.
Yep. Alrighty then. Moving on to.
There will be a lot of Hulk cosplays, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably.
Green.
Probably.
The Green Arrow and Green Lantern.
All the green.
Green Power Ranger.
Sailor Jupiter.
Yeah.
Trying to think of all the other green ones, but Wicked Witch.
Alrighty then. Alright, moving on to, speaking of being green, I guess.
Hey,
Oh, I'm here all night. Make sure to tip your waiters. Anyway, Disney.
Try the veal.
Yeah. Disney is going to reboot, of all things, Muppet Babies. It is going to be on Disney Junior starting in 2018. But it is going to be, it will have a similar focus and will feature 2 11-minute stories that document the Muppet Babies' many adventures. The only difference is this is going to be CGI instead of hand-drawn animation, because it's been 25 years almost since it was originally on air, so technology has advanced a little bit. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I had the theme song like immediately in my head. Muppet Babies! So obviously Disney Junior, it is catered to a very young demographic, and this is not going to be any different.
Yep.
So
Disney Junior is what my niece and nephew watch.
Yeah, so if you get toddlers in the
all
house,
the time when they're home,
people won't look at you as funny if you have this on your TV. If you don't have toddlers in your house, just, make sure nobody can walk by your windows, I guess. If you care what other people think. If not, just watch it and enjoy it, because it's Muppet Babies.
There must have been a lot of reruns, because I remember watching this show and it ended when I was 1.
Yeah.
So I must have.
Yeah.
Must have been a lot of reruns.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, there were quite a few.
Yeah. It was syndicated in reruns there for quite a while. I think I watched it on Nick Jr. I think maybe Nickelodeon had a hold of at least the rerun license rights, whatever, there for a while, if I remember correctly.
And I can remember when it aired on First Grunt.
Yeah, I think I probably caught the tail end of the first run myself. So I'm like, I remember, but we didn't have cable or anything, so yeah, it was probably like on one of the Saturday morning cartoon
Probably.
things. I can't remember which one.
Probably whatever
I don't
network.
remember.
Probably whatever your network was that aired like Sesame Street, because I mean they're all Jim
Yeah.
Henson. So, but anyway, childhood nostalgia.
Yep.
You know, okay. Unfortunately, I think my nieces are going to be too old for it by the time it comes back. But maybe my nephew. We'll see.
I'll
Like,
just watch it anyway.
yeah. Like, yeah, the kid's watching it. I'm just in the same room, really. Hi, Nanny. Anyway.
I'm watching the kids. They just happen to be watching something on TV, guys.
Exactly. No, it's all good. So, moving on to the BBC. We have our air date for uses return. It's more than likely for right now just the first episode of Sherlock. Sherlock will be returning to our airwaves New Year's Day.
Woo! And this is a simultaneous day and date for BBC and PBS here in the States, as I understand it. So no more waiting.
Yeah.
See, that'd be the first time Sherlock's done that.
I want to say you're right, but I don't remember. So I guess because they don't have Downton Abbey anymore, so they have to do something. So it's like, hey, Sherlock's coming back.
I've never caught Sherlock when it's aired on PBS, so I'll take your word for it. I've always had to catch it via the interwebs.
Well, so have I. I just remember seeing a thing like people were happy about that, so I was like, sweet.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it, and then like people here in America see it after I've seen it, so that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah. Thank you, BBC.
Thank you guys for getting your act together.
Yeah. Doctor Who's still not back, but, we can have Sherlock help bridge the gap a little bit, even though it's not related other than Stephen Moffat's in charge of both, but...
Yeah.
It's just in Doctor Who's still not on.
Yep.
Don't want a week before.
That is true.
Oh yeah, with Christmas.
Yeah, it's like we'll get the Doctor Who Christmas special, and then we'll be like, "Yay!" and then it'll be over, and we'll be like, "Oh!" But then a week later, Sherlock. So the Stephen Moffat high will not, wane too much.
Yep.
Anyway, speaking of Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Yes.
I don't know if I saw this in passing. I didn't realize that this was happening. Other people probably saw it before I did. But if you're familiar with Humble Bundle, it's that service where, companies bundle together books or whatever they're offering together, and you pay what you want, and the money goes to charity, and you get all these goodies depending on how much you decide to pay. Well, Titan Comics did that with their Doctor Who lines, and I believe it is still going.
Yes,
as we're recording.
9 days and some.
Okay, so yeah, there's plenty of time if you want to get on this. We'll put a link in our in the show notes. But I mean, I was looking through like what you get, and there is a ton of stuff. It's all Titan Comics. Although some of it I think was from IDW as well.
Worth of comics.
Yeah.
For like.
And you could pay. You could pay $25 and get $200 worth of comics.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you could pay less and get admittedly less comics, but still a pretty good deal. Like, it says you pay $1 or more for Doctor Who, Agent Provocateur 1 through 6, Ripper's Curse 1 through 3, When Worlds Collide 1 through 3, As Time Goes By 1 through 4, Fugitive 1 through 4, Through Time and Space 1 through 6, and Doctor Who Body Snatched 1 through 2. And then it just kind of goes up from there, $18 or more, and you get The Forgotten 1 through 6, The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who. Yeah, those are obviously those are IDW titles, but I guess Titan has the rights to distribute those, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure about the legalities. Don't ask me.
There's
the 8th Doctor. Let's see. There's the 11th Doctor. No, hold on. Where am I going?
Yeah.
The 10th Doctor Volume 1. I lost my place.
There's volumes.
Doctor Volume 1.
Yeah, there's volumes for multiple Doctors.
The 9th Doctor miniseries, 8th Doctor number 1, 4th Doctor number 1, San Diego, Oh man, they're gonna come after me for that one. San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 2015, and the 12th Doctor number 16. That's for $8. Pay $15 or more for all that. Plus, so it includes what I've already mentioned. Plus 10th Doctor Volume 2, 11th Doctor Volume 2, 12th Doctor Volume 1, 9th Doctor ongoing series, 10th Doctor 11, 11th Doctor 11, 12th Doctor number 6. That's a lot of 11, okay? And Doctor Who.
Third Doctor.
Number 1.
Yeah.
So, and you can get them in CBZ, which I guess is the comic book app format. You get them in PDF and EPUB. I got it on EPUB, so it's on my iPod or my iPad now. I can talk, I promise. Anyway, the main point is you pay not so much money. The money goes to charity. You get a crap ton of Doctor Who comics. Everyone wins.
Yeah, I mean, for $15, that's a lot. Because for each tier, you get the tier below. It's kind of like Kickstarter, where it's like you get everything previous plus.
Yeah.
So
plus this and this and this, and it's just like it's ridiculous how much they give you for. But and like I said, it all goes to a good cause. I am trying to find.
Well, especially because I mean, you're not getting actual physical comics, so they don't have to worry about shipping. Mm-hmm. I mean, IDW or Titan or whoever would already have these in electronic format, so it's easy for them to distribute them. It doesn't really cost them anything. So, and the money's going to charity.
The main charity that they're supporting with this, I'll just read more. BBC Children in Need. So that's something that we know and love. Doctor Who has done their sketches for children in need before, as well as Red Nose Day. They're both different, but I mean, and there's some people sitting here who donated like $100, $50, and it's like you don't even need to pay that much, but they just do that because they like the charity and that. So I mean, you don't have to have an iPad or a tablet or anything to read these. If you have a computer, you can read them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So go check it out, and like we said, it runs for a few more days, so you can still get. There's a lot of comics. It's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So if you've been wanting to catch up with Titan Comics or even get some of the IDW stuff that they've done, this is a good chance to do that.
Awesome. That's it for news. We are at almost the end of the month. Tomorrow's Halloween as we're recording this. So new month means new photo challenge and new book club choices. So, whoever wants to go first.
Britt, why don't you go ahead, because I have to pull up the poll.
Alrighty. Well, November's photo challenge is the ABCs of Marvel Cinematic Universe MCU for short. And that's because of Doctor Strange coming out in a week. Less than a week, actually, now.
Yes.
And so, basically, it's the same rules as ever, just use strictly from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And
sorry, Deadpool.
Yeah, sorry.
And X-Men, sorry.
And X-Men. And
Fantastic Four.
Some Spider-Man.
Yeah, and some Spider-Man.
Well, we don't talk about Fantastic Four. Nobody should talk about Fantastic Four.
Well, obviously pretty much everything goes. MCU, that includes all of the movies, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, the Netflix series. No spoilers for Doctor Strange. Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
For the most part. So.
And as of right now, we'll have a little bit before... We still got a little time for voting, but as of right now, In the Blood, the 10th Doctor and Donna Noble novel is in the lead with 3 votes, followed by The Cyberman Plague with 2. So far it looks like in the blood will be November's book choice, unless something would happen between now and when the poll ends.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
I have been posting announcements to
Yeah.
got a couple days yet.
And
Yeah.
I have been seeing them. I don't know how other people
Yeah.
have. Been
I'm sure
doing, but there
it's
you go.
one of those things that people see it and go, "Oh yeah, I'll have to remember to do that," and then they don't.
That could be it too.
Oh crud! I meant to vote.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's too late?
Yep. That's the way it works
Sounds
with
like
the
the
book
story of
club
my
people.
life.
Yeah. That's the way it is with the book club people, though. If you don't like the way it turned out and you didn't vote, that's on you. So let your voice be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Been hearing a lot about that lately.
Yeah. You know,
Anyway,
we
not to bring up
yeah.
unpleasant
Yeah,
subjects.
well, let's talk about something more pleasant, like what I did yesterday.
Yes, you do. Yes.
Then
For
we'll get
those
on to
who
today's
were
actual topic.
Watching Instagram, what were you up to?
Yeah. So yesterday I was at Who North America for the first ever Doctoberfest, which, considering it was their first ever go at this, I thought it went fairly well. Apparently there was a little bit of a hiccup with the parking first thing, but they got that sorted out, and for the most part, because I know that was like their biggest concern besides the weather, was parking, because they don't have a very parking lot, but the location that they bought included a big chunk of land. So most of the festival was held in like this backyard area. So they were able to park people in the parking lot and some of the front yard, and like all of the people that work there and like us vendors and all that parked in the back, like in some people parked along the fence and all that. But that and the weather were the two biggest concerns. We got very, very lucky with the weather. Yesterday was gorgeous. It was like 70, mid 70s most of the day. The sun came out. It didn't stay out, which actually was a good thing. The few times it did come out, it managed to melt some of the Halloween candy on our table.
Oh dear.
So people would come up and go, "Ooh, candy!" I'm like, "Oh, help yourself. Just be forewarned. Some of it may have melted."
Take it home and freeze it.
That's what. Yeah, what's left over is in my freezer. I'm gonna save it for next weekend. But anyway, it was the wind though was the big thing. For the most part it was okay, but every now and then there would just be this stupid strong gust of wind, and stuff from the table would go flying even if we had it weighed down. Yeah, which I wondered if that would be an issue, just because I'm familiar with the Indiana weather patterns, and if it's been cold and suddenly gets warm, that just creates ridiculous amounts of wind around here. But we dealt with it. Stuff would go flying. We'd just go chasing after it, pick it up and put it back and weigh it down again, and, wait until the next gust of wind came along. But other than that, it was really great. I don't know exactly how many people showed up. I know the couple of times I actually went into the shop, they almost always had a line at the cash register. So it was very busy. The parking lot was full almost the entire time, but it never got like really backed up. Someone would leave, someone would show up. So that was good. A good number of vendors, some people selling things. And then there were a couple of there was a group there that is part of a acting troupe that has been, the last few years, has been putting together a Christmas show, which is a mashup of Doctor Who and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's all the Who's in Whoville, which was cool. They were they're in costume, and they had a they had a discount code for tickets. They're in Louisville, which unfortunately is a bit out of the way for me to drive to. But they had all their Doctor Who costumes on. The Tony Troxel from Indiana Geeking, who I was sharing a table with, he was amused at one point because their first Doctor was taking a selfie. He's like,
Oh my gosh.
he just thought the juxtaposition was quite humorous. The first Doctor taking a selfie. But I talked to them. I've got some audio with my chat with them that will go up along with the show here once this goes up. So you'll find that I may, depending on how long the show turns out, it may go on the end of this. It may go up as a separate thing. We'll see. Maybe both. Who knows? We had games. There were like carnival type games, ring toss, that sort of thing. Everything was Dr. Janie did a really good job of coming up with the games and theming everything. People could buy tokens, and then they'd use the tokens to play the games, and then the games they would win tickets, and then the tickets they could turn in for prizes. So a lot like Chuck E. Cheese in a way. But the kids really seemed to enjoy that, and some of the adults too. There was a gentleman there who was promoting a Doctor Who convention that they're trying to get off the ground in Ohio next year. So I had a nice chat with him. He's got some very interesting ideas for doing their con, so that it's slightly different and you get a different fan experience. He really wants to make his event so that it's for the fans, and the fans being able to meet the guests and, get that real personable experience. So they're gonna not do some things you would normally expect at a convention, and maybe do some things that you wouldn't expect at a convention. So I gave him one of our cards, and we'll chat. I may help. We may be able to work out a little something. We'll see. Their event is not until October of next year, so there's plenty of time to work out all the details. But watch this space. I talked to a lot of people. Tony and I, we had a good time. I would sit at the table. He would get up, walk around, talk to people. There were several vendors that he knew from other events. So you got to chat with them. His girlfriend, Liz, who helps out with Indiana Geeking, was there, although she got pulled to help with some of the games a good chunk of the day. And then Tony would come back and man the table, and I would go talk to people and that sort of thing. But we passed out lots of business cards when they weren't being blown off the table. Passing out Halloween candy that wasn't completely melted, which is always good. So we talked to a good number of people. I saw Elena from And Sewing Is Half the Battle. She was dressed as Captain Jack Harkness,
Nice.
wandering around talking to people, checking out the people dressed up, because they did have a Doctor Who look-alike contest. And there was, they took pictures of everyone who entered, so the fans, the people attending could vote for their favorite. So there was a fan-voted favorite, and then Elena got to be the judge and do a judge's choice. So she spent most of the day walking around, silently judging people without them knowing it. She stayed in character a good chunk of the day. She does Captain Jack, especially Flirty Jack, really well. So I got to give her props to that. And the gal that actually won the judge's choice won because she stayed in character a good chunk of the time she was there. She even not dressed up, she looks like Catherine Tate. So she does Donna
Yes.
Noble, and she does a
The
really
picture
good
with
Donna.
Donna. Oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
cosplayer did a fantastic job.
Yeah, she looks just like Catherine Tate. It is kind of eerie. So
Because I had to do a couple double takes. I'm like, did Catherine Tate actually show up? Wait a minute.
no.
I know. I had to look and was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Rachel?
Yeah, no. I wasn't hiding anything, I promise. I actually met her last year at Who North America Halloween time last year when they were still in their old location. I've got a photo of her and me next to the TARDIS. I was in my Fourth Doctor outfit last year. But I made sure to get a picture with her and Elena's Jack in front of the TARDIS. So we had, Team TARDIS there, kind of. And then the fan vote actually was really close. Donna almost won again, but she got outvoted by a few votes by a little boy dressed as 10, complete with the red and blue 3D glasses. Like, she was mock upset that she didn't win the other prize. I'm like, but you can't beat a little kid in the 3D glasses. She's like, I know. And then they also had a jack-o'-lantern carving contest, so which there were some really good entries for that too. The Daleks won by a landslide in that one. I kind of wonder if maybe Daleks weren't going by and dropping votes into the cup. But I guess we'll never know. So that was fun. But from what I heard, everyone enjoyed themselves. There didn't seem to be too many complaints. Keith and Janie were quite happy with the way that everything turned out, and they're excited to see the event hopefully grow as they go on. So I don't know if we'll get as lucky weather-wise in subsequent years, but hey, this is Indiana. It is what it is in October. We'll deal. But Janie's already got ideas for next year to make it bigger and better. So watch out, I guess.
You guys are gonna have your own Doctor Who convention there in Indiana.
Kind of.
And then I will have no excuse not to go.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah. So it was pretty fun. So I don't know if they'll have it about the same time next year or not. I don't know if they're planning on going to Time Lord Expo as a vendor. So, because that'll be in the middle of October next year. So if that's the case, and it'll probably be about the same time next year. So, and then, we'll adapt as Mother Nature decides to do what she does in October. So.
Well, and I can't understand why nobody's used the term Doctoberfest yet.
I know.
Or if they have, I haven't heard. It's the first. I'm like, that's perfect.
I know. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I know I thank Tony and Liz for bunking up with me at our little table there in the yard. I got there because I brought the table, and I got there, and Janie's like, "Oh, you're in slot number 1," because Janie was asking where we want to be because she didn't know if we needed electricity or not. I'm like, "Oh, we don't need electricity." So, and Tony was actually the one that brilliantly thought of telling Janie, "Put us wherever. It doesn't matter. We can be slightly out of the line of sight when people first arrive. Have the people that are actually there trying to make money be, more obvious when people show up so that people go to them and hopefully, give them money." So I wouldn't have thought of that, but I was like, that's really brilliant. So kudos to Tony for thinking of that. So we were, if you came into the parking lot, walked from the front of the store to the back via the driveway, we were not right behind, but line of sight behind the dumpster and the porta potty.
Oh boy.
That's okay. It's all good. People found us, so That's all that matters. It was one big loop in
That's good.
in the yard, so you just kind of walked around, and there was the it was like she alternates. She thought it out so that she alternated like game vendor, game vendor, game vendor, so you couldn't like go to one without seeing another, which was quite smart. So, and thankfully we were at the opposite end of the Domino's pizza. Because I might have hurt someone if I had been right next to the pizza vendor all day. Because I got to lunchtime, I was very, very hungry, and Chauncey was bringing me food and taking what seemed like ages, but really wasn't. But when you're hungry, 2 minutes feels like 2 hours. So I have to remind myself, bring more snacks next year. And not just the Halloween candy. Anyway, that's all. That was the first ever Doctoberfest. So, fun time had by all. And I was very smart wearing my 10th Doctor cosplay because it's very comfy. Every time I wear it, and people are like, "Oh, I really like that." It's like, "Did you make that or buy it?" I'm like, "Oh, I bought it." It's like, I really like wearing it. I see why David Tennant picked this particular outfit. It's really comfy.
Oh, it is.
It is. It's a very comfy outfit. I don't know why I don't wear it more often, actually. Like, why do I torture myself with these other cosplays when I can wear pants and tennis shoes? Anyway, moving on to this week's topic.
Moving on.
Yes, in honor of Halloween, we thought we would take a page from Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and give some love to the bad guys for this particular time of year. So we have a top 10, something we haven't done in a while, actually. It's been quite a while since we've done a top 10. So we've got our top 10 villains.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of conventions.
Yes, a lot of conventions
And stuff.
Yeah, a lot of movies, a lot of other stuff. So, but we've got our top 10 villains, which kind of like our photo challenges. Not too many rules. They can be TV or movie. Person, so like the shark from Jaws is not on here. I don't think any of us would have picked the shark from Jaws anyway, but you never know.
We can stick it in dishonorable mentions.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
That's true.
What a queen alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get into all those.
But they actually
have to be.
Yeah, they had to be an actual villain, not like an anti-hero like Deadpool. Some people think Deadpool's kind of villainous because he's not necessarily a hero, but that's kind of gray area. He's, he's a merc and he's an anti-hero, but he's not necessarily a bad guy. He just has a bad attitude. So these folks.
So these are
actual baddies. Although in some cases, they might have been slightly redeemed, but not really. But if you hear that particular character's name, you think bad guy.
One of my choices was Ford.
Yeah, exactly. So these are not really in any particular order, other than the order I put them in. So, although I did put them in.
So when we say number 1. And people are like, "No, there's a worse villain than that." And it's like, well, we know.
We just had to start somewhere.
This is the order we're talking about.
Yeah.
Our ranking is completely arbitrary.
Yes.
We're not ranking them. There's just 10 of them that we're talking about.
Yep.
Yep.
Order is necessary, otherwise we'd have complete chaos.
Yep.
Yep. All right. So starting with quote unquote number 1.
We have Voldemort from Harry Potter.
Proof that you don't need a nose to be a bad guy.
Well,
Very true.
Amy.
Very true.
so we have Voldemort on our list of villains, and
I mean,
you know,
some of these are pretty straightforward.
I'm trying to think what do you
it's
say
like,
about.
yeah, like, you know, he tried to kill a baby and didn't.
Wants world domination of the wizarding world. He hates muggles and muggle-borns, and he's all about the purity of his.
Yeah, even though he's a half-blood himself, you know.
Yeah, even though he's a half-blood and quite the hypocrite.
He split his self or his to 7 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
The way you do that is you kill people. He's quite the diva because, you know, as I remember, Horcruxes could be anything, but he had to have it, you know, be something
He had to have them be his life.
Yeah.
His life, and to Hogwarts. He wanted something from all the founders, except he never got Gryffindor's sword because no way.
Yeah.
Sword of Dumbledore took care of that one.
Yeah, really.
And
I mean, anyone that goes through, you know, yeah. I mean, J.K. Rowling has never gotten into detail about what all is involved when making a Horcrux, just because apparently it even makes her sick just thinking about it. So it has to be something really, really awful.
Yeah.
So for anyone to do that 7 times has to be not right.
Well, in the 6th book, when Harry's asking Slughorn to, you know, say, what did you tell him? And he, of course, just will not tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he modifies the memory to make it look like he didn't tell Tom Riddle how to make the Horcrux, and he was ashamed that he even mentioned it, and he was some fast talking from Harry to even get him to admit to what he had done and to tell the truth and be honest about it. And you could, it's such what the process is, even though he knows it in an academic sense, and he tells Tom Riddle, like, you know, why on earth would you want to do something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And Riddle's like, oh, I just, you know, I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do people want to learn how to build a bomb? It's purely academic. Promise.
Exactly.
Let's see the hands behind your back that have the finger crossed.
Yeah. No kidding. Slimy little Lord Voldemort. Bad news all the way around. And it's like, okay, this is how I look at Voldemort. He's like the ultimate evil of Harry Potter. And then you look at all the people who are following him, all his little minions who like Malfoy's or I'm trying
Bellatrix.
Well, Bellatrix she's a little obsessive.
Bellatrix is just plain right
over
psycho.
Voldemort and yeah, but you know, they're all like, oh, we like him because he's the most powerful. Not necessarily. Well, in some cases they do agree with him, but some of them are just like Wormtail, Peter Pettigrew. He just jumped up with the biggest bully on the playground. Basically what he did, because he's like, oh, you're going to kill everybody. Well, I want to be on your side. So it's like that whole, the presence of someone so evil makes people do things they wouldn't normally do. But it's like, I don't know, I'm getting philosophical here, I guess, but people reveal their true natures. Like, well, you're going to win. I want to be on your side, even though I wouldn't necessarily agree with what you're doing, but
Uh-oh. Apparently Skype's not agreeing what we're doing either.
Well, thanks, Skype. Can you hear me? Okay.
You're
don't know what's going on.
You're a bit choppy, but
okay.
Yeah. We'll soldier on.
Oh, of course.
It's Skype.
Okay.
For any of our new
it's
listeners.
I had a good line there, too.
Yeah.
Sorry, new listeners.
Yeah. If for
We do
anyone
with what we
new,
have.
this is Skype.
Anyway, yeah. Voldemort he's so evil, he even makes people who might not be evil under normal circumstances turn evil.
Mm-hmm.
Or do evil things. Yuck. Uh-oh. I don't think you can.
I don't think you can say much else. Other than thank goodness Harry won.
Yeah. Yes. If Harry won, or if Harry didn't win, that would just be sad.
Yeah.
I don't like sad endings to stories.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we go on?
Yes. We shall soldier on.
So, soldier on. So the next one, this was one I suggested. The Snow Queen / Ingrid, Queen Ingrid from Once Upon a Time, the Frozen story arc. And I put her here because, I don't know, the question of villains in Once Upon a Time is kind of an interesting one because they redeem some, try to work, some just are unrepentant villains. And there's a lot that I like quite a bit, but for some reason I just loved the Snow Queen and how they worked her into the story. And I love the Frozen story arc in Once Upon a Time. I think it's one of the best that they ever did. And it was in no small because of that character, I think. Just because he was just so... He knows Rumpelstiltskin's bad news, and they all have, there's always some sort of beef with him, but she just didn't put up with his crap. She had her own thing to do. Now, there were some times when he did get the better of her, but then she turned around and got the better of him, and it was kind of glorious. And she was that whole, you find out that isolated, and in some ways she kind of had the same sort of motivations as Voldemort did, because she was like, oh, I have these powers, nobody else does, the only other people who will understand me are people who have powers, so people like Elsa and Emma. I have to convince them to be my sisters, and we're going to be a family, and I will do anything to make that happen, and I don't care what anybody else says, and everything is going to go my way. So I just really enjoyed her, and Elizabeth Mitchell's performance. It was so smooth and so, I guess sultry, I suppose would be the word. I don't know if that's the right one I'm looking for, but just kind of understated and not like real hammy, like some of the, like when they had the Queens of Darkness, the next part of the season, where they were just like, blah, give me what I want, and she was just kind of like, no, and she's had that voice that was just so quiet, and understated, and she was, I think that's
telling calm and cool, you could just kind of get that red flag where you're like, you bet. Business.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what, I mean, I know they're not doing spin-offs from Once Upon a Time anymore, but I think it would be fun for her to have her own, almost have her own show even. Like, I don't know, I really want her I want to visit her, but at the same time, no, what they did, don't ruin it.
Yeah. It's like, for once did something good. Let's not mess it up.
Yeah.
That's just...
So the Snow Queen, I want more, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I'll be happy with what I have.
Yeah. You can think of her fondly every time you have some ice cream. Or something.
Oh, yeah. And she ran an ice cream parlor.
Yeah.
Come on. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nope. All right, the next villain on our list kind of started his little man on totem pole and then kind of came up, and now he's kind of in between. Minor crossroad demon, then becoming the king of hell. We're talking Crowley from Supernatural, played by none other than Mark Shepard. Love to give the Winchester run for their money, try to take them out, but then realize, I might have use for these guys. It's a love-hate relationship when he nicknames one of them Moose and the other one Squirrel.
Yep.
Take your pick. So, not too much else I can say, but some of his relatives do happens to pop up in later seasons and causes some havoc too, so he has that to deal with too. Good help is so hard to find these days.
Yeah, I think in the Supernatural universe, you really could take your pick of baddies, but I've never watched Supernatural, but I see his name come up quite often. Although every time I think of it, all I think of is the Black Sabbath song. So. Which may or may not be appropriate. We'll see. I have to get around to watch it. Once I get around to watching Supernatural, I will make that decision for myself, I guess.
Yeah. And when you do, there is a certain episode that you will skip.
Yeah.
Early in the first season, dealing with creepy crawlies, so.
You right.
You have been warned, but it's fun.
It's going to be a while before I get to Supernatural, so once I finally do, I'll get a map first.
Good idea.
Kind of like the X-Files, I was like, you can watch most of them, but there's some you may want to skip. Just in case. Anyway, that's a topic for another although we've actually already talked X-Files, so that's a topic we've already discussed. Go listen to it. All right, next on our list,
Loki. So
Loki.
There's so
the first Thor movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was the main villain of the first Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm. Loki's just one of those villains that it's like, you almost have.
He was adopted by Odin.
Yeah. It's like Loki is like you hate him at the same time you kind of love him.
Yeah, he's one of those. Yeah. He's one of those. He's definitely a villain. He's definitely a bad guy. But it's just like everybody loves him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I guess he's kind of that. I suppose he sort of falls into that Joker realm of he's
described as a trickster god.
Yeah.
Mythology.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that works because it's just you don't know whether he's on. He could be on your side for a little while, then he could turn on you, or he could be the bad guy, and then like, oh, I actually need your help, so hey.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that comes down to his portrayal too. Tom Hiddleston does a fabulous job portraying Loki. So
fabulous job.
He owns that role.
Oh, yeah. One of the
best. Marvel's done a fabulous job with their casting, and that's Loki is no exception. So yeah, I mean Loki, as far as the Marvel universe is concerned, he's one of my absolute favorite characters, hero or villain. regardless of which side he's on. Although there will always be a part of me that hates him because he stabbed Phil Coulson.
Yeah. But Coulson got better. So
Yes.
Coulson got better. So, I mean, you gotta weigh the stabbing against the getting better. And
Yeah, which is why I don't hate Loki completely. Just more mildly annoyed now. So, him until they brought Coulson back, and then it became more, oh, well, you're just annoying, but I love you still.
Yeah. And then in The Dark World, he looked just so pathetic and pitiful.
Yeah, you almost feel sorry for him. And
speaking of Dark World, that scene where they're in the ship and Thor's trying to pilot, and Loki's like,
I love that scene.
Yes. Congratulations, you just decapitated your grandfather. He's so sarcastic. We're a sucker for sarcasm with a British accent.
Oh, there's so... yes, because British sarcasm just works. I don't know what it is. It must be the accent.
I think
must be.
Oh my! Oh, Loki. I'm interested to see how Loki is into the next Thor movie. So
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Very, very interesting. So considering they're bringing in a character who's as big of a menace, if not more, as far as being manipulative. So he may finally meet his match, maybe. I guess we'll find out. Jeff Goldblum? Anyway. Alright, moving on to, I guess, my first pick, which...
And another one with an accent?
Yeah, another one with an accent, not British this time, German. But you can't do you can't do top 10 villains and not include an Alan Rickman character. So
Exactly.
and Snape doesn't really qualify. Snape had a bad attitude, but he was always on the good side, even if you couldn't necessarily trust his motivations. We find out at the end that he's a good guy, so Snape doesn't really count. But Hans Gruber from Die Hard definitely qualifies as a baddie. The baddest of bad. German terrorist, suave, sophisticated, he comes strolling into Nakatomi Plaza with his Goonies and some explosive and some guns and just takes over like nobody's gonna question him. And he does lose his cool there towards the end when Bruce Willis's John McClane starts to get the better of him. But for the longest time, he situation, and with every hiccup that McClane sends in his direction, he just deals with it. So it's an amazing baddie for the role, considering he really doesn't do a whole lot for most of the movie other than talk.
And that's where his villainy comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of these villains, you have villains that are like really hammy and in your face and chewing the scenery, and he just does it with a few words and a tone of voice, and it's just like,
and he's
you're so good at
and
this.
Cool, even with the curveballs that are being thrown at him and all that. It's like, way to be.
Yeah. Very, very much so. There's a reason that a lot of people consider this one of Alan Rickman's best roles of his entire career, and it really is the role that made him a star in the mainstream. So for this particular role to be like his first like big mainstream role, and for him to just knock it out of the park is a big compliment to him and the writing of the character and all that, but also, his portrayal of it. So there's a reason Die Hard is one of my favorite movies, Christmas or otherwise. It was on our top 10. It was one of my choices for top 10 Christmas movies.
Yes, it was.
And probably it's his portrayal. He's such a good villain that after Alan Rickman passed, it's the only movie of his I've been able to watch, just because Hans is such a bad guy that I'm not gonna like cry the entire time watching the movie. And Bruce Willis is good too, but
Oh, yes.
we're not here to talk about it. All right, looping back around.
Next on the list, he did get redemption at the end, but I had to put Darth Vader on.
Oh, yes.
He's always one of my favorite villains when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
Well, and I mean, up till his redemption, he was very much a villain.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
No question about that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, Darth Vader is. I mean, you can talk about all the other villains in Star Wars you want. He is the villain of Star Wars. Like,
Mhm.
and a lot of the problem that people have with the prequels is like, you made Darth Vader this whiny little punk, and it's like,
that becomes that.
Yeah, really.
yeah, it's like how did that?
It's like you like, how do you go from emo, yeah, whatever that is,
How do you go from yeah?
yeah, to you know
I'm not
towering
just
over.
to describe Anakin Skywalker.
I mean, he's just so. I mean, I guess they wanted to show like where Luke got his whining from, but it's just like all teenagers that age are really whiny. But it's just like,
apparently
I didn't need to see him as little Vader, but
apparently it's a Skywalker trait.
apparently it is. Now, which begs the question: has Rey been that whiny? I don't think so. So maybe that's points to her not being a Skywalker.
No, I was thinking more
True.
Kylo Ren, so
Yeah.
he's half Skywalker.
Yeah,
so
Compare Rey and Kylo Ren, it's like, nope. He's a Skywalker, she's not.
Yeah. Anyway, Darth Vader. It's like he walks in, and if he doesn't like what you're saying, he just force chokes you. And like that's what makes him so scary, villainous. Like you think about him in that first movie, and he's just all his little minions do what he says, and even
Empire Strikes Back with Lando, he's just like, yeah, I altered the deal, pray I don't alter it any farther. It's like, okay, you're not getting the Force choke, but you've been warned.
Yeah.
Which also makes it even cooler when Han Solo walks in the room. Well, when they all walk in the room in Cloud City, and Darth Vader's sitting there at the other end, and Han Solo just starts shooting. And Vader just holds up his hand, but he's still shooting!
Some first aid.
Yeah. And once again, you have to, Darth Vader, he's a very cool looking character with the black and all the, the breathing device and the helmet and the cape and all that. And then
the cape is what does it, really.
Yeah, but then you have that, so knocks you in your boots, James Earl Jones voice to go with it.
It's like, if you've ever seen the behind the scenes video of when they were filming it, and David Prowse, that was his name, right? It was in the Darth Vader suit, and he's giving the lines, and it's like, yeah, you sound menacing and villainous, but nowhere near as menacing and villainous as James Earl Jones.
Yeah. So, and I'm super excited to see Darth Vader again on the screen for Rogue One. So, and hear that James Earl Jones voice again. So,
yes, and actually being the Darth Vader, scary Darth Vader.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
Very
ooh,
much so.
I got chills. I'm
Yeah.
excited about this.
I know. It's very exciting. Yeah. It's like some of these. Yeah. It's always exciting when you got a really awesome villain and you get more of that awesome villain. So,
Yep.
so. Rogue One, very exciting.
And where it's done well. And then also, I just have to mention in Return of the Jedi, because that's when, after Luke finds out that Vader's his father and all these things, and he's trying to redeem him. And Vader, he kind of, they have that little conversation when they're on the way to meet the Emperor, and Luke's all like, "Oh, you've forgotten, you're still a good person, I can help you, blah, blah, blah." And Vader just says, "Oh, it's too late." There's a nice balance of I'm still the super bad villain, but I am kind of sad that you're trying to redeem me, and I don't want to do it. So it's like he hasn't, he hasn't been redeemed yet. It's still coming, but he's still like the super scary bad guy. Mm-hmm. So the balance is there, and it's done very well still.
Mm-hmm. And even too, when they're fighting underneath the Emperor's throne room, and Vader's just like, "Well, if I can't turn you, I can turn your sister," and that just set Luke off. It's like, okay, you still know how to push.
Yeah, it's
push buttons.
Mm-hmm. It's like, that's a low blow.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Using one kid against the other.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Oh, Darth Vader.
Anyway.
Love it.
Definitely a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next up on our list, I was trying to think of a Disney villain to include, and Disney's got some really good ones.
Yeah, pick a
throughout
movie.
the years. What's that?
It's like pick a movie. Yeah, you got everything.
Oh yeah,
you got everything. Everything
we could
from.
say, or we could do top 10 Disney villains.
Yeah,
if we wanted
really.
To.
It's like, yeah.
But the one I settled on, and it might be a little bit of an odd choice, but hear me out. I picked Scar from The Lion King.
Mm-hmm. I can see it.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you have Maleficent, you have Ursula, you have, Hades. Like, why Scar? And I'm like, for the same reason, a lot of the same reasons that, like, the Snow Queen and Loki, and even Darth Vader to a point work, is Scar is, like, he's the uncle. He's so smooth. He ingratiates himself in the family.
Mm-hmm.
The black sheep, so to speak. He just bides his time. He waits and he waits and he waits for his moment, and he's scheming the whole time, and he's so manipulative. Like Simba, little Simba looks up to him so much, and you're my uncle, and look what I did, and he wants his uncle to be proud of him, that he's going to be the next king, which is not a very good thing to be rubbing in your uncle's face. He's have to kill you and your dad so he can be king. But like Simba, he wants the approval of his uncle just as much as he wants the approval of Mufasa, his father. And then after Mufasa dies and Simba's, that scene, Simba's just like, he tried to save me, and Scar's just like, oh, it's your fault, you did this, and the king's dead, and if it weren't for you, he'd still be alive, so you need to run and never return. And he sicks the hyenas on him, and it's the hyenas are the reason that the plan doesn't work so well.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
don't send your minions off to do something you can do yourself.
This is true. But Scar just couldn't be bothered, because he was like, I'm king now. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I can just send someone else to do it. So it's just, I think it's just his manipulations and his scheming. Like, he's part of the family, and he overthrows everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you don't have that in a lot of other villains. I mean, we could probably think of a few that do that in other ways.
He also has a sense of humor, because then in that one scene, starts singing, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts with Zazu.
Yes.
Okay.
Just, he's like, I've got everything I want, and now I can rub everyone's faces in it, and now I can be blatant with my villainy, and no one can stop me because I've killed them all, except then Simba shows back up and is like, oh, we missed.
Yeah.
It's like, you screwed it up, hyenas. And then his smooth talking totally backfires in the end, because he's trying to blame it, like when Simba's bearing down on him, gonna kill him, and he's scared for his life because he knows that's what he would do in Simba's position, and he goes, it's the hyenas, they're the ones that did it, it wasn't me. And Simba just goes, run, never return, and that whole thing. Then the hyenas are like, oh, you said we were the enemy, and so Simba doesn't have to kill anybody.
Nope.
Scar basically did it himself. And I think, as well regarded, there's so many really good Disney movies. Lion King is definitely one of the best, and I think it is because Scar is such a good villain. I mean, you hear the phrase, your hero is only as good as the villain, and I think that is so true in storytelling, and part of the reason that movie works so well, and it is so well loved, even though it wasn't meant to be this big hit, is Scar.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jeremy Irons just did a fantastic job.
There's that British voice again.
If it wouldn't have been Jeremy Irons, I could have pictured Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Taking Scar's role.
Yeah. And I have to wonder if, because The Lion King was so well written, if some of that doesn't also, you have to give some credit to its quote-unquote source material being Shakespeare. Because The Lion King is essentially Hamlet with lions.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the first bit. It's the first act where the uncle kills the dad, and the son has to, Hamlet, as it were, has to come back and regain the throne, and that could be. I mean, that's the inspirational material that definitely takes some credit. And villain songs, like there's a lot of villain songs in Disney movies, and they're not like the ones that everyone knows from Lion King are Circle of Life, I Just Want to Be King, or Can't Wait to Be King, and Hakuna Matata. But Be Prepared is like the creepiest, chilling song, scary, just the way it's written. The way
that dark green lighting with all the rows and rows of hyenas,
and they're goose-stepping. It's like it's. I mean, even if you aren't well versed in history, and you at least know Hitler and the Nazis and the way that they do the like that is like classic, and not even just the Nazis, like the North Korean. What are they called? I don't know. There's a lot of
military.
A lot of dictatorial armies will march and do those kinds of. There were some with the Chinese Revolution. They'll do that kind of goose-stepping line march where everybody has to be just in perfect formation of it because the leader wants it. Otherwise, you're going to get shot on the spot. And it's like, like you look into the history of all this, and it's really creepy.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, Scar is. The more I talk about them, I'm like, man, Scar needs to be like regarded as the best villain ever. I mean, there are some good ones, but Scar is he's just so deliciously evil.
And then he gets his and becomes an Easter egg in Hercules.
Inevitably, you become the butt monkey. For the rest.
Well, Zazu did say he'd make a nice rug, so.
Make a very handsome throw rug. Whenever he gets dirty, you can take him out and beat him.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good old Zazu.
Zazu is my kind of humor.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next villain.
Who I'd like to take out and beat.
Yeah. I mean, and the guy has survived way too many times for his own good.
Oh, God, he's like a cockroach.
Yeah. The cigarette smoking man from the X-Files. When we first meet him, he's just sitting in the office when Scully comes in, but he's a little more treacherous than everybody thinks. With working with the consortium, trying to get the X-Files shut down, trying to kill Mulder numerous times, hurting Scully, and a whole bunch of other questionable wheelings and dealings with possible alien UFO activity. Yeah.
Mm.
And was it ever proven that he was Fox Mulder's father? I'm trying to... I thought it was, but then I thought, no, it wasn't. It's been a while since I've watched the series going from memory.
Yeah.
You could probably look that up if you really wanted to.
Yeah. We'll just leave that one up in the air.
We're not sure whether he is or not.
Yeah. Well, and just with the way with the other with the reboot and series, who knows how much the mythology is gonna stay or if it's gonna change.
Yeah,
Speaking of the revival,
not recently, at least not that I've heard.
I mean, the last I heard was that the ratings were good, that they'd be up for doing another one. I just think it's kind of getting a script and the availability of David and Jillian.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, I hope that happens soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
But
They did kind of leave us on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it is.
Again.
come on,
it both cliffhangers involve the cigarette smoking man. Like, first cliffhanger, yeah, the aliens are coming, there's nothing you can do about it. Second cliffhanger, yeah, the aliens are here, there's nothing you can do about it. And Scully's gonna die, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah. So, he's always just given me the creeps. So, yeah. Every time he's on screen, which, that's a testament to really good writing and acting, but yeah, the cigarette smoking man just gives me the creeps every time he's on screen. And when the last, season came on and he was there, and I'm like, oh, like, first off, how are you alive? Second, go away.
Yes.
why don't you just die?
Yeah, he's awfully good for a dead man.
Yeah, he is. He's a cockroach. So.
And I mean, and how many times has Mulder had a gun pointed on him?
Yeah. Well,
and not.
Other, attempts on his life, not being counted. You would think eventually just the cigarettes would kill him.
Yeah.
She was caught in an explosion at one point and survived somehow.
Yes.
I guess if you can survive that, then a pack of cigarettes ain't gonna kill you.
Survive anything.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, I'm sure whenever the show comes back again, he will be in the middle of it. Probably welcoming the aliens with open arms.
He'll be like, it's your fault.
Pretty much.
Or wouldn't it be something that's like, yeah, cigarette smoking man, you had one job to do, you didn't do it, you're fired.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Or that.
One could hope.
Yeah. It's like Darth Vader, we're excited to see come back on our screens. This guy, not so much.
No.
Moving on.
Yes. So this is my second choice, Siler, and he's a watchmaker turned superpowered serial killer. So
I'm pretty sure that's what his business cards say.
What?
I'm pretty sure that's what his business cards say.
So,
I can fix your watch, and then I'll steal your powers by cutting open your head.
He's such a charmer.
He is. I can open your head and your watch. Sorry.
Season 1 of Heroes, he was killing people, taking powers, almost destroyed New York City. And then in season 2, he lost his powers, but he was trying to get them back and manipulating people who did have powers in hopes that once he got his powers, he would then be able to take those powers. In season 3, they kind of started trying to redeem him a little bit, and he went back and...
It didn't stick.
Oh, did we lose? We lost.
Yeah, we lost Mitch.
Ah.
They tried to redeem Siler, and it didn't stick. Is what she
No,
was
it really
trying to say.
I was saying, I'm confused about Silo, and I think someone said Silo's confused himself.
Yeah, that was like he was really good in the first season. And like so good, like, oh, let's not kill him off, and it's like, maybe you should.
Yeah.
Like, what do we think?
Like, they don't kill him off, and it's like, oh, well, then what do we do with him? Like, you're not dead.
Well, I
We
mean,
don't know
because
what
I
to do
think
now.
the plan was to have a completely new group of characters in each season.
Mhm.
But then they were airing season 1, and the characters in that season got so popular that they just kept telling stories with these people.
Mm.
So, I mean,
Yep.
I liked it all the way through to the end, but a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, but I mean, Siler. I mean, if you have a character like that, who, you know, he's only supposed to be a one-off, and then they realize, oh, let's keep using him, and you know, for better or worse, you know how, you know, we can argue about that, however that works, but it's like it's a testament to how good the villain is that he is the main villain for the whole show, even though he was only supposed to be there for the one season. And just how freaky and creepy he is. I mean, you want to talk about a Halloween villain character, a guy who cuts open your brain and whatever he does with it, and takes parts of your powers or your life or whatever it is that he's doing. And that's part of it, is like we never really figure out exactly what he's doing. I mean, we kind of know in a general sense, but it's just like he can open up your mind and figure out how you work.
We see him in the season 3 premiere actually going through Claire's brain, like studying it to see how the power works.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he also denies actually eating the said.
Yeah. Yeah, because he said, like, oh, that's gross, you know, where did you get that idea? So that's kind of where the whole, we don't know what he does because he denies it, but...
He denies eating them, so where like... I mean, I posted in a Heroes fan group that my working theory is that sometimes he's in a hurry and takes the brain to another location to study it. So, and then disposes of it somewhere else. But we don't know for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's you know, part of his thing is like we just don't know, and he has these secrets that we'll never get or understand just because we weren't told what they were, and that's, you know, that's why he's so creepy, because we just don't know what he does.
That's probably a good thing. It's kind of like right up there with, you know, how do you create a Horcrux? It's better if we just don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, don't think about it, otherwise it's going to be like, ew.
Yeah.
Well, ew and freaky and both.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. That's just one of those things, like, I don't need to know. I do wonder if we'll ever see Siler return in one form or another. If when Heroes returns again.
Yeah. Well, if Zachary Quinto gets done with Star Trek.
Probably not. I think he's gonna.
Well, because he did the first JJ Trek movie during the hiatus between seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other 2 were after Heroes got canceled.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We'll see.
And I mean, he was mentioned in Heroes Reborn as a comparison to what Erica was doing with the Evos, like taking their powers.
Yeah.
But that's probably as close as we're ever going to get to him coming back.
Probably. I mean, they are trying to inject some new blood and some new characters into it. So enjoyed seeing some familiar faces, although they, if and when it comes back, they do need to tie up a few loose ends, like, Matt being in a ditch. Most everyone else, from the, first series, their stories have been, kind of tied up.
Those stories have been told.
Yeah.
They're telling new stories.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, good choice. Yeah. All right, then. My last choice here is pick an incarnation. It still works. It works on so many levels. But we would be remiss if we did not include the Master from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Pick your version. Anywhere from Delgado all the way up to Michelle Gomez, and
you could even pick Crispy Master if you wanted. We won't judge.
You could. You could do Crispy Master.
I mean, he was the villain of Deadly Assassin.
Yep. But I mean, the Master is the Doctor's oldest enemy and friend all at the same time. Their ties go all the way back to Gallifrey. They were friends at one point until the Master went nuts. But with a name like the Master, what do you expect?
Exactly.
And to pardon the pun, also the Master of the most incredible escapes
ever.
Yes, because we're all like, because you think he's dead, and he comes back the next time, and it's like, didn't you die?
Nope.
No, he's like Davros. He climbs in the thing, and like,
yeah. And I love how they don't even explain it. It's like when like Missy came back. It's like, how are you back? She's like, oh, it's a long story. You don't need to worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just one of those things we're not going to explain. Like, how did Sherlock survive the fall of the building? You don't need to know. You just know that he did.
Pretty much.
That's the way the BBC rolls.
If he didn't, then the story would not continue.
Exactly. So we kind of need the Master. It's not a character that needs to come back heavily. Just every now and then. It's kind of like the Daleks and the Cybermen. So those long-standing, when you think of Doctor Who, these are the things and people you think of, mixed in with your occasional new monster / villain, but the Master is just especially when you get a good portrayal of the Master. The classic era Master You had Roger Delgado and Angela Ainley, who were both and Crispy Master, I guess, too.
Jeffrey Beavers
Yes.
played him. He still does them for Big Finish sometimes. And they have Alex McQueen, I believe, is the other one.
Yeah.
It's quite good.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard much of his stuff, but
I
Yeah.
don't know. So I haven't really listened to a whole lot of Big Finish with the Master other than Light at the End, which I don't know who did the Master in that one. But it sounds a lot like Anthony Ainley, though.
yeah, it's Jeffrey Beavers.
Is it? Okay.
Did that one? Yeah, he's
Crispy
Crispy
Master.
Master.
Yeah.
So.
Crispy Master,
just call him,
but he
'cause
sounds
he
like
wanders
Ainley.
around and,
Yeah. He sounds like
trying to get
Ainley.
yeah.
Oh.
I think. I mean, I love Michelle Gomez
I
and
do
John Sue.
too.
They're
I love
great.
Michelle Gomez as Missy. I know some people balked at the idea of the Master now being a woman, but Michelle Gomez just puts such. I mean, it's still that wacky. I'm gonna do everything to make the Doctor's life hell. Motive that the Master has always had. But she puts her own brand of psycho on it that you just can't help but love.
Yeah, and I have to throw some love to Anthony Ainley, his Master, not just because he was the Master when my Doctor was was on the screen, but
Mine
I
too.
think what a lot of people either miss or they just don't talk about is how that Master came to be. And I know we joke about how the boys, the Vortex boys, haven't watched Keeper of Traken yet. So Keith, if you're listening, cover your ears for a minute.
I think he's figured it out by this point, but hey,
Oh, I'm sure. It's a running joke.
Yeah.
By now. Yeah. Because you watch Keeper of Traken. I don't know. Is anyone here avoiding spoilers?
Oh no. I watched Traken years ago.
Yeah. So Anthony Ainley plays Nissa's father, who's he is the eponymous Keeper of Traken,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, the Master takes over his body. So the Ainley Master is actually Nissa's father, and Nissa is one of the Doctor's companions, which they never really do much with the story, but it's just oh my gosh, you can't, that was his origin story, was that he stole the body of a companion's father, who, and now her whole world's been destroyed. She's the last, she's effectively the last of her kind, and all these different things. And he's just so nastily evil. But he's also kind of the trickster, sort of. He's kind of he takes the cues from Roger Delgado, who created the character in the first place, on screen, and then he adds his own brand of crazy trickster to it. So I think that might be where a lot of that came from, because Roger Delgado was just always this kind of smooth operator.
He was like a Bond villain.
He really was, which fits with the Pertwee era.
Yeah.
And then Ainley was just cracked out, insane, and doing all these disguises.
Ainley was kind of the Joker to the
yeah.
Doctor's Batman. So. And then occasionally you got the team up, with the the Mark of the Ronnie, where it's like the Joker and Catwoman teaming up together.
Yeah, well, especially in the Davison era, where the Master was just kind of all over the place, and the Doctor's just this very calm, cool, collected, even though sometimes he has no idea what's going on, but he's still just kind of that's nice. We'll go with that, and doesn't panic very often, sort of thing. So it's a good contrast. I think the Master is the best when the Master contrasts with the Doctor, and I think we also have that with Peter Capaldi and Michelle Gomez doing the Doctor and the Master, because the 12th Doctor has his own brand of going here, there, everywhere, but then the Master comes in and makes him look like he's a I don't know what you want to call it. Very
he's got
calm.
everything under control.
He's got everything under control compared to her.
Yeah.
Even when he doesn't. It's just the contrast works.
Yes. Yeah.
So love the Master.
Yeah. As much as people complain about it, we don't think that because we haven't brought up Eric Roberts' master from the movie
Oh, well,
doesn't
yes.
mean that we absolutely hate it. He did the best he could with what he had.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Sure dress
subscribe.
her.
I subscribe to the theory that he was existential goo
Yeah.
wandering around in a human suit, so he didn't quite have everything all together.
Yeah. When you start out as goo, yeah, you can only do
He's
so much.
suffering from major regeneration sickness.
Regeneration identity
Yes.
crisis is something. Like, I was
Yeah,
goo
like
in a
if
box.
the doctor, the doctor didn't even know what his name was. He didn't even know who he was. So, what was the master going through?
Yeah.
Trying to figure.
Exactly. No.
There's a lot of hand waviness with that one,
Yeah.
and of course, I always dress
For the occasion. Yeah.
It's kind of funny, and I never realized this until now. In that movie, the good guy was British, the villain was American. Usually, in
It's the
big
other way
Hollywood movies, it's like with Die Hard and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But that is our top 10, but we do have a few honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions. I wish I could take credit for calling it that, but I got that from a YouTube channel, so sorry. No copyright infringement, I promise. Circling back to Star Wars, Darth Vader may have gotten some redemption, but Emperor Palpatine, not so much.
I don't think he wanted it.
He didn't. He was evil and manipulative and did not even before he came like full on Emperor Palpatine, 100% of the time, when he was like double duty being the senator and then being the guy under the cloak at the when other people weren't looking. He was so just manipulating people and using the dark side of the Force to get what he wants. So, and I'm glad that down a chute in a blaze of electricity. Down he goes. Another is Magneto from X-Men. I know that they've tried to sort of make him more sympathetic in Apocalypse, giving him some backstory with the family and all that, but at the end of the day, Magneto is Magneto, and he's the yin to Charles Xavier's yang. Again, it's one of those, brilliant casting choices, both for young Magneto and old Magneto. When you got Ian McKellen playing the older Magneto, it's, the British accent, Note how many of our villains are British or portrayed by British people. So, there's something to be said about someone, a Brit, whether they're using their own accent or, in one case, a German accent, makes for just a really good villain. So.
Yep. Sorry, British listeners, if that annoys you. It's just. It works!
It works!
Don't fix what ain't broke.
Sort of related to that topic, when Heroes was originally being cast, Christopher Eccleston was offered the role of Sylar, and he turned it down because he didn't want to play into the British villain stereotype.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Although
he did end up getting cast in Heroes, but as more of a good. Well, I wouldn't exactly call his character a good guy, but he was on the good side.
Yeah.
In that
he wasn't trying to kill people. He just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah.
Mainly, and he did try and help Peter to help him stop the whole blowing up New York City
Yeah.
until he got chased off by the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his was a one-off character too, so he didn't have to commit to,
Yeah, he was
the same.
4 episodes.
Yeah.
In the first season.
Yeah.
And he was in extended media, like there was a web comics that was posted online weekly alongside it, that for most of the original run of Heroes,
Mm-hmm.
and that he was in at least one or two arcs in that. So, which required no commitment from the actor,
Yeah.
of course, because it was all.
And so I'm sure he was more than fine for that. Like, hey, you want to draw my face? Go right on ahead.
I'm sure he was fine with his image being used in the comics because he didn't have to commit to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, next on our dishonorable mentions, there's actually a lot of people from this franchise you could pick, but because she's still alive and able to cause more mayhem, at least in the near future, Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones. Yeah, though.
She's a peach.
She makes Missy look like a normal human being. Cersei is she's so manipulative and so calculating and so, she's a mother and she will do anything to give her children everything she thinks they deserve and protect them, which you would expect any mother to do, but she takes it to such an extreme. In some cases, it's revenge for things that happened to her family, and she could almost be justified, but she just takes things just too far that you can't really be, not necessarily forgiven, but can't be condoned either. Regardless of her motivations. So, and especially this last season, especially the season finale, she takes things really, really far. I mean, it's amazing, the way they've written her, and the actress that portrays her is absolutely brilliant. But I really hope that Cersei gets what's coming to her sooner rather than later. She's just.
I think that's a trope of Game of Thrones. There's like maybe 3 people you're cheering for, the rest could all go die.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Game of Thrones, that, it's just like, there's some really good characters that die, sooner, and they're people that you want to see on screen, and they die because it's Game of Thrones, and then you get these bad guys and bad gals that are just awful, and you're like, will you just die already? And then they don't, and they stick around for forever, and I'm like, why aren't you dead yet?
When is your luck going to run out?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so thankfully several of those have moved on, but Cersei at the moment is still alive and kicking, and now pseudo Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, although we'll see how long that lasts, considering she doesn't really have a legitimate claim to the throne. So, trouble is coming to her doorstep, literally, and I'm super excited to see what happens when certain characters that she has not met yet show up on her doorstep. Especially ones with large fire-breathing animals in tow.
Yeah. I was like, okay, let me know when Daenerys gets to Westeros with her dragons, so this can
We all know what's waiting. There's the dragons where you taste crunchy and are good with ketchup.
Yeah.
Yes, they've got ketchup back in their little trunks.
Yeah.
Like, Cersei sandwich.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
That is a showdown I am really looking forward to, and I really hope it happens.
Me too. I think by this point that now that HBO is writing the show and not so much they're not so much beholden to the books because there are no more books. They're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do it this way because we don't like her.
Yeah. We can only hope. At this point, because they have gone beyond the books, they're writing with some input from George R.R. Martin, but really HBO is just doing their own thing, and George is doing his own thing, writing, the books as slowly as he is. I'm sure HBO is well aware of what the fans want, but whether they're actually going to give it to them, considering it's Game of Thrones, you have to be he's like, this is what I want, but it's probably not going to happen because it's Game of Thrones.
Well, and it's like, how do I say this? It's like they've set all this stuff up with Daenerys and everybody, and it's like, okay, so are you just not going to have her do anything, or like it would be really dumb to just kind of leave that hanging and have it not mean anything. But then again, there have been shows that have done that, and the fans have been really upset. Yeah. And they just don't care. Like, well, we're done, so what are you going to do about it? And it's like, that's really kind of rude. But
well, the thing with Cersei is she's burned so many bridges that there are like a good half a dozen people that could be the person that takes her out, and they would all be justified. And would fit with the story. It's just a matter of who is it going to be? Is it going to be one single person, or maybe people can gang up and multiple people can be involved in her getting her comeuppance? It's all going to be up to the writers. But the next season next year is going to be.
That would be an interesting meeting to set in.
Really, absolutely. So, but yeah, Cersei definitely qualifies as a baddie. So, a couple more. I think would also be remiss if we didn't bring up the Joker. Pick an incarnation. Comics, cartoons, movies, TV. Take your pick. The Joker is the Batman's ultimate foe, and is essentially the master in the DC universe. So just absolute psychotic mayhem. Like I said, pick a portrayal, and it's probably a good one. Anyone from Heath Ledger's amazing Oscar-winning portrayal, deservedly so, against Christian Bale's Batman, all the way to, Cesar Romero's, absolutely just comical, not like like life-threatening by any means, but just absolute wacky portrayal in, the TV series with Adam West. So, and everything in between.
Then there's, Mark Hamill in the animated series.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson in the Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah.
Like I said, take your pick. Which one?
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Suicide Squad, so.
Yeah, you're not missing a whole lot there, actually.
Yeah. That's too bad. It looked like fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's a decent movie, but, if you watch Suicide Squad because you're a fan of the Joker, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. He does not get as much screen time as you think.
Well, I was just thinking of, the movie as a whole. So I was going to say Jared Leto's Joker, but I'm like,
what screen time?
I can't say anything about that one.
Yeah, say what screen. I've seen it, and I know Brittany's seen it too. I say what little screen time he has, he's not bad, but there's not enough of him to really make a really good judge of how good his Joker actually is. So we'll have to wait until he pops up in another movie where he's on screen more, really, to make a better judgment call. So. But he put his own spin on it. I'll give him that. So
sweet.
That's about it. And last, but certainly not least, just happens to be the last one written down. Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh yeah, he's a villain.
Oh,
Well, when I was thinking of villains to talk about, I was like, I don't really like him even as a villain. I'm just sort of sick of him.
Well, I mean, when we say top 10, it's ones that we like, but also, the top 10 villains that we think are a good definition of a villain,
Oh yeah.
And I think, Rumpelstiltskin, is a character in other forms of media. I don't think it's really gotten a whole lot of portrayal. Once Upon a Time is like really it. I mean, he appears in a lot of like books and stuff, but I mean, as far as movies and TV, he's not a character that comes up very often.
Well, the fairy tale Rumpelstiltskin is just all, he's a little trickster. He wants to, he wants to steal this woman's child because when her parents made a deal with him to have a baby, and so the cost was her firstborn, but then she's the queen and she has to spin straw into gold, and Rumpelstiltskin does it for her. So so in order for her to keep her child, she has to guess his name. So I'm like, I don't know how well that lends itself to a full-on movie. I mean, I'm sure it does in some way, but I don't know.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
if they could have done it, they would have done it by now.
Yeah.
Although maybe Disney's working on that. Who knows?
Disney, we never know. But making him kind of, the master Joker to, the folks of Storybrooke on Once Upon a Time is he's not a bad choice, because I mean, Rumpelstiltskin, he is a trickster as far as the fairy tale is concerned. He's manipulative, and he'll give people what they want, but it comes at a price, duty. So it is as much as I and several of us, most of us, have kvetched and moaned about the lack of character development on Once Upon a Time with Rumpelstiltskin. You can't knock Robert's portrayal of Rumpelstiltskin. He does.
Oh no,
he does a really good job with what he's been given. A little sick and tired of it. And once again, accent. He's got that going for him. He's got an accent. That's a check in the plus category right there. So, and every time you see the word dearie, you hear it in his voice. So, so yeah, that's our top 10 plus a few honorable mentions. Yeah. I'm sure we could keep going if we really thought of it, but that's probably good for this week. Even without the shark from Jaws. Maybe that'll be another show. We'll do a top 10 non-humanoid baddies, so we can do things like like the Terminator and the alien from Aliens and stuff like that. If anyone wants to do something like that, maybe we can do that some other time. So I think that's it.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yep.
But I think this was a good list. Yeah, and if you, dear listeners, want to chime in with your favorite villains, there's tons of them. We wouldn't have time to talk about all of them. So chime in with who you think is your favorite, or that we should have talked about. With feedback, 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also go to our web, fangirlspodcast.blogspot.com. That site has links to our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, and our YouTube, and also our iTunes and Patreon. You can also find us on Stitcher Radio and the Google Play Store. And also, Astrian, thank you as always for our Patreon supporters. You guys are the best, and you're so awesome, and we love you for all your help. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you may do so at our website. There's a link there, and you can also support us through shopping through our Amazon store, which is on our website as well. So just go to our website; you'll find everything you need, and most of I'm pretty sure all of our username on everything, Facebook and such, is 5ish Fangirls. So that works for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So just search us and you're golden.
Yeah, exactly. So just make sure you type in 5ish Fangirls. Don't just end the 5ish Doctors reboot. Will more than likely be the first thing that pops up on Google.
Oh yeah, so yeah, 5ish Fangirls. Mm-hmm. With I won't begrudge them their top spot, because that is where we got our name.
Exactly.
Yeah. As obscure as it is.
Yeah.
But we love it. We're quite attached to it by now.
Yep.
Anyway, so visit us on our website, visit us on Facebook, visit us on social media, and send us feedback if you feel so inclined, because we love to read it on the podcast.
Yep. And speaking of feedback, if you want to chime in for a show next weekend, we will be talking Doctor Strange. How in depth will depend on how many of us actually get to see it before we record. So the less of us that see it, the less spoilery we will get. But you're more than welcome to send in feedback. Nevertheless, just be aware that we may edit or censor part of your feedback depending on spoilers. So
we'll read it on a future show if we don't get to the whole thing.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. So, and also a reminder, I will be at Midwest Toy Fest this coming weekend, which, obviously we talked about on a show several weeks ago. I will post a reminder on the Facebook page so you can find information. I don't believe you can buy tickets anymore online. I think they've closed online ticketing, so you'll have to buy at the door if you procrastinated. But it's still fairly inexpensive, so... and there's going to be a lot to do with the show itself. There's a full panel schedule posted online, so there'll be... there's the cosplay contest, there's the Lego exhibition, there'll be the podcasting awards on Saturday, there'll be plenty of vendors selling comics and toys. I actually have a table, so I will be representing the podcast. The 5ish Fangirls have a table at Midwest Toy Fest.
Woohoo!
So I will be at the table at least some of the time. So there are panels and stuff I hope to catch. So, but if I'm not at the table, odds are I'll be back. So
circle around.
And
Also,
so you catch me.
And also, I want to put in a quick plug. This Saturday, if you're in the Salt Lake area or want to come down, the library system is doing a local authors and you workshop and book signings and things. So it's like all these authors from around this area are going to be in one place. And if you know anything about the fiction writing community in Utah, that we've got some pretty big names. I don't know that they'll all be there, but there's some pretty awesome indie authors. So if you're around, you can come meet them. It's free. There will be books to purchase from the authors if you want to, and they'll sign them because they're awesome that way. So check that out. It's at the West Jordan Library out on 80th South and Redwood Road. Local people will know where that is. So if you're around, come see it. It's
Awesome.
free.
Free is always good.
Free is awesome.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, with that, I guess we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Bev saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
That's coming in very good. I don't know if it sounds choppy for anyone else, but it sounds a little choppy for me. That's okay. we'll finish off strong here. So, I guess my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Okay. It's all choppy. I don't know how it sounds for everyone else. So.
It sounds clear for me.
Okay. It may just be me then. So anyway, let's not worry about it. So it is what it is. So, all right.
Oh,
This is With that, this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana, and be safe trick or treating, everyone. Have a good Halloween.
Watch out for the villains.
Watch out for the villains. Have a good one. Okay, I am here at Who North America for the first ever Doctoberfest, and currently I am with
Todd Ziegler.
Catherine Ziegler.
Come on in. Okay. And Ryan Byer.
the Ninth Doctor did not want to join in.
He's shy.
Yeah. So tell us, well, obviously we know who you are, but who are you with and what are you representing here?
We are with ZTK Entertainment down in Louisville, Kentucky, and in 2 weeks we are putting on a stage play called All the Who's in Whoville. And it is a mashup of Doctor Who and Dr. Seuss, two worlds colliding, and an extra special Christmas special in which a certain green-complexioned individual comes back to steal Christmas again and declare war on it even, and it takes a doctor, or more than one, to put a stop to things.
Very nice, very nice. Is this the first instance of this, or have you guys done this before?
Yeah, go ahead. Take it away.
We finished these other sentences.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is our third year,
Okay.
which has been really wonderful. It's our second year at the Iroquois Amphitheater in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's really it's the type of play. It's BBC approved, and he has the copyright, and so that was a really special moment for us. But it's the type of play where every year it changes just a little bit to make it a new show. It keeps up with
what happens in the show
Yeah.
and reflects what the previous season brought us.
lots of fun.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
so new things every year.
Okay. And most of you guys are here in costume. Are these the costumes that are used in the show, or are these your personal ones?
Why can't they be both?
I guess they could be.
Yeah, these are show costumes. And then what I'm in, and I know this is not visual, but it's sort of the secret of the show, is it opens with Santa Claus appearing at the same time as our Christmas thief who's returning, and he gets zapped and pops up with a new face and a sonic screwdriver, and then promptly loses his memory.
Oh no.
So there's a little bit of an air of mystery of what exactly is going on at the top of the show, but it leads into some fantastic action and adventure in which some 12...
Fantastic. Just fantastic. It's just fantastic.
That's the best word. And yeah, and 12 familiar
it's better
faces
than
show
best,
up.
It's fantastic.
Yes. The fantasticest.
I'm sorry, that's not grammatically correct.
Wibbly wobbly grammarly whammery. Would you like to say
I
something?
love how you were able to do that and not trip over your tongue.
Well, who says I didn't really?
Very nice, very nice. So, I guess give us some details: when, where, who, how much, that sort of thing, where they can
Yes,
find more
it is
information.
who.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll let you take that one too.
Yes, it is at the Iroquois Amphitheater in Iroquois Park in Louisville, Kentucky, November 11th through the 20th, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday each week, at 7:30 p.m. each day. And we also have 2 p.m. matinees on Saturdays, which are family friendly. There's special pricing for the kiddos. And it's 8 shows altogether. Runs 2 weekends. It is indoors at the amphitheater, so you don't have to worry about it being cold. They put a wall down and make it a very intimate indoor space. And it's
Very interactive for the audience. Lots of fun.
it's for fans who know the minutia back and forth of the show. There's all these fun little Easter eggs. But we've had people like even my brother-in-law, who is a Louisville South End mechanic at UPS, who with the thickest Southern accent you've ever heard, who hates sci-fi and plays, and he came the first year and said, I don't know what the heck's going on, but I'm having a real good time.
I wanted to put that on the poster.
Yeah, so whether you know Doctor Who or through and through, top to bottom, or you don't have a clue what's going on with him, it's a show you can totally dive into.
Cool. Very cool. Is there a website?
You can purchase tickets at iroquoisamphitheater.com, and then our company is ZTK Entertainment, and that's ztkentertainment.com.
Do you guys do other stuff throughout the year, or is this kind of your one big thing?
Primarily, the show started our company. When he got the idea for the show, we decided to. He produced it at a theater, and then we decided to take it over and produce it. So we've been independently producing it for 2 years. The show's been around for 3. There are some talks to do some things in the summertime, and then we've also made a lot of great connections here at Doctoberfest to be able to take the show to other communities. So we're really excited about that too.
Cool. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Come to the show.
No, it's a great dynamic cast. Being a castmate, I can say it's a great dynamic cast. Great chemistry. The casting director did an amazing job assembling this cast. Because the cast has fun, the audience is going to have fun. The moral of the story at the end, after the climax, is wonderful. It's a great, not just holiday message, but a great human message. Very uplifting. So anybody who's a fan of good theater and culture absolutely has to come and see this show.
Very nice.
And they're
Yeah, thank you. You don't even have to pay me extra to help
he's so eloquent.
Very well said, Doctor.
Thank you. It was fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much, and thank you for coming. I guess. So, thank you. Been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by their respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.